This video is created for educational and informational purposes only. The content presented on the Strategic Lens is based on publicly available information, news reports, and analysis, and does not intend to promote, justify, or glorify violence, conflict, or any harmful activities. All views expressed are for awareness and discussion, and should not be interpreted as professional, political, or military advice. The channel does not support or endorse any government, organization, or individual involved in conflicts. Viewer discretion is advised, as some topics may include sensitive geopolitical or humanitarian issues. The Strategic Lens aims to simplify complex global events to enhance understanding and awareness. One missile, hundreds of explosions, and a danger that can last for years. Recently, North Korea tested a weapon so controversial that much of the world has chosen to ban it. But this isn't just about a single test. It's about how one strike can spread across an entire area, far beyond a single target. Because some of these smaller explosives don't detonate immediately. They remain hidden, turning landscapes into long-term risk zones. So why is this weapon so feared? And what could it mean for regional stability and the world? This is the Strategic Lens, helping you see beyond the headlines. According to state media, North Korea tested a missile equipped with a cluster bomb warhead, a weapon designed not to hit one target, but many at once. The test was overseen by leader Kim Jong-un, signaling a clear message: their military capabilities are evolving. But this wasn't a nuclear test. It was something different, something arguably more dangerous for civilians. Because unlike a single explosive, this type of weapon releases dozens, sometimes hundreds, of smaller submunitions across a wide area. Some explode on impact. Others don't. And those unexploded remnants can remain hidden for years, turning roads, fields, and neighborhoods into potential danger zones long after the strike is over. That's exactly why many countries chose to ban these weapons under international agreements. Yet, their continued development raises a bigger question. Not just about capability, but about the long-term risks they create in any conflict scenario. A cluster bomb works like this. One missile travels through the air, then suddenly opens, releasing dozens or even hundreds of smaller bombs. These submunitions spread over a wide area, like a deadly rain of explosives. Some explode instantly. Others don't, and that's where the real danger begins. Because those unexploded bomblets can remain hidden, scattered across fields, roads, and even residential areas. Days later, months later, sometimes even years later, they can still detonate with the slightest disturbance. This turns entire regions into long-term hazard zones, where normal life becomes risky and recovery becomes slow and dangerous. And unlike traditional weapons, the threat doesn't end with the strike. It continues silently, waiting. That's why many countries consider cluster munitions not just a battlefield weapon, but a lasting danger to civilians long after the conflict is over. Cluster bombs are not just weapons of war, they are long-term threats. Many of the smaller bombs fail to explode on impact. They remain hidden, in fields, roads, even near homes. Years later, civilians, especially children, can accidentally trigger them. This is why over 100 countries signed the Convention on Cluster Munitions, banning their use completely. But not all countries agreed. If tensions rise, the most immediate risk is regional. Countries like South Korea and Japan are within range of these weapons. Military bases, cities, infrastructure, all could be affected in a potential conflict. And because cluster bombs cover wide areas, they are especially dangerous in densely populated regions. Unlike precision strikes, these weapons are not limited to a single point of impact. They spread across neighborhoods, transport routes, and critical facilities at the same time. Even advanced defense systems may not fully eliminate the risk, especially when multiple submunitions are involved. This creates a complex challenge, not just for military planners, but for civilian safety and emergency response systems. And in regions with high population density, even a single deployment could have far-reaching consequences. Which is why developments like this are closely watched, not just as military tests, but as indicators of how future conflicts could unfold. But here's the truth, this test isn't just about war. It's about signaling. By demonstrating this capability, North Korea is sending a message. We can strike not just precisely, but massively. In modern geopolitics, weapons are not only tools of conflict, they are tools of communication. A test like this shows reach, scale, and intent, all without crossing into active confrontation. It's a way of shaping perception, both for rivals and for the international community. Because the real impact of such demonstrations isn't just physical. It's psychological. They influence how other nations plan, respond, and prepare. And in a region where tensions are already high, even a single display of capability can shift the balance of deterrence. So this isn't just about what the weapon can do. It's about what it makes others believe it can do. So, what happens next? Expect strong reactions from the United Nations and neighboring countries. Possibly more military drills, more sanctions, and rising tension across the region. But for now, this is not the beginning of a global war. It's a warning. A reminder that in today's world, even one test can send shockwaves across the globe. Diplomatic pressure may increase, with countries pushing for restraint and renewed dialogue. At the same time, defense systems will likely be reinforced, and regional alliances may tighten in response. Because every such development forces nations to reassess risks, strategies, and preparedness. And while headlines may move on quickly, the implications of a single test can linger far longer. Not just in policy rooms, but in how the world anticipates what might come next. This is how modern geopolitics unfolds. Not always through conflict, but through signals, responses, and shifting perceptions.
Weapons like these don't just change battlefields. They change lives. Long after the explosions fade, their impact can still be felt. Quietly, invisibly, and often by those who were never part of the conflict. The question is, will the world respond in time? Will diplomacy move fast enough? Or will these warnings be ignored until consequences become unavoidable? Because in today's interconnected world, the effects of such decisions rarely stay contained. They ripple outward across borders, across economies, and across generations. If you found this video insightful, consider subscribing to The Strategic Lens, where we break down global events that shape our future one story at a time.